The road can be a dangerous place. No matter how safe you think you are, there will always be a certain air of chaos around you. If you're not careful, you might miss something which could spell disaster. Today we've got many close encounters, harrowing chases, and terrifying circumstances caught conveniently on dashcam footage. You never know what the camera might capture, so your best bet is to turn it on and see everything. These clips give you a front row seat to the insane things that happen on the road and how people deal with them. One on today's list feels supernatural, with plenty of eyewitnesses. You'll have to see it to believe it. Semitruck nearly overturns on car. Things move pretty quickly on the road. You need to have excellent skills sometimes to avoid what could have been a massive catastrophe. This truck was likely not well balanced, and making a slightly too sharp turn could have sent the whole thing toppling over. Fortunately, the person behind the wheel outmaneuvered gravity, righting the car right before the entire thing went falling over the sedan beside it. It was a close call, caught on camera, because just as a slightly slower response could have really meant catastrophe. Near miss truck driving incident. Driving visibility can mean life or death sometimes. As the dashcam sees it, this truck driver was inches from disaster. As the dashcam catches it, out of seemingly nowhere, two trucks driving in the opposite direction come barreling towards them. By some genius stroke of luck, they can maneuver right in between them, perfectly unharmed and safe. This is one of those things that you would never be able to describe to someone else. They wouldn't believe you. Luckily, they caught it on camera, so no one can question it. Dashcam reveals things in sky. Admittedly, you'd never expect to catch something out of this world on your dashcam, and it seems like that's exactly what this woman stumbled upon. While driving down a local Texas highway, something unmistakable was hovering up above. It stays unmoving and suspended overhead. Impossible to tell what it is, but it was definitely not smoke, since that would have dissipated. A few other people caught the same thing, meaning it wasn't a single one-off camera error. The object is nothing more than a black smudge in the air. The object in this video doesn't seem to move. Theories range from an animal formation, a portal dimension opening up, to an unidentifiable spacecraft. There's no real explanation, leaving this strange sighting to be just that, strange. Raw dashcam of high-speed chase. What seems to be a routine traffic stop goes off the walls in a matter of moments. This officer approaches the vehicle as usual. Not even a second goes by and suddenly the other car is speeding off. He goes into the distance well before the police officer can even get back in his car, and it's so dark outside it's hard to see even a few hundred feet ahead. The officer speeds down the road and finally does catch up to the driver, who continues to try to get away. Most of us will never encounter what it feels like to be in a high-speed chase, so it's almost thrilling to be in the driver's seat as the officer expertly speeds down stretches of highway after the car. At one point, a body cam catches as they try to slow him down, and eventually they're able to get the interaction in their control. But for a bit, it really was touch and go.
In custody.
Dashcam robbery interrupted. While sitting in traffic, this cab driver's dashcam caught an attempted robbery. From one man's side, a man climbs into the car and points a weapon at the driver, demanding all his money.
Hey, give me all your money, man. Man, I don't.
Give me everything you got. Give me it now.
All right.
I need it now.
All right.
He begins to threaten the driver, and things between them get heated. Suddenly, lights flash behind them, and as it turns out, a police officer fortunately caught the whole exchange from behind. The cop pulls the would-be robber out of the car and gets him disarmed. The timing couldn't have been better. The driver can tell the officer was there with a gun, and he handles it from there. Suspect crashes into police. Another case of instant karma. This person was trying to get around an officer who was seemingly moving too slow, only to get immediately caught between the two cars.
187, 10-5, I was just rammed.
It turns the car over on its side, and they quickly realize that the driver inside is trapped. They have to break the window open to get inside.
Can't see.
Several officers are at the scene, trying to pry this impatient driver out of the car while keeping weapons pointed at him. The moment the driver is out, he tries jumping from the vehicle to escape, but he's outnumbered by quite a lot. Every cop seems to jump in at once, pinning the flight risk driver down and subduing him quickly. Dashcam catches thief. Sometimes it pays to have your dashcam on, even when you're not driving. This car owner was lucky enough to be in that situation, with his camera trained on the inside of his car while he worked out. The man who breaks into the car looks inside, checking what valuables he can find, and then disappears for a moment before busting the glass on the window and taking everything in sight. He moves quickly because he doesn't know how much time he has and manages to get away. He looks around, face entirely uncovered at this point, and while he doesn't seem to see the camera, it certainly sees him. You never know when you're being filmed. In today's world, cameras could really be anywhere. Suspect attacks officer, steals car. How badly could a traffic stop go? Apparently, very. This dashcam shows a police officer approaching a car before catching the moments as the suspect attacks the officer, throwing him off. The officer struggles to get his bearings, and the two pull their weapons. The suspect runs and steals the police car to get away, driving through the city with no regard for traffic. This is dealt with as the suspect runs a red light and smashes directly into oncoming traffic. The dashcam catches the whole failed getaway from a first-person perspective, including the subsequent crash and damage to the vehicle. The suspect apparently tried to flee, but didn't get very far. Toddler running through the streets. Nothing's more terrifying than losing a child, except maybe having your child found in the middle of the road. This young boy had managed to slip through an open door and ran directly out into oncoming traffic. Thankfully, the roads were clear, and the patrol car caught him before anyone else did. But judging by how the little one was running, he had no idea the level of danger he might have been in had the circumstances been just a little bit different. The officer quickly manages to get out of his car and picks up the little one to get him to safety. Trooper gets punched. Standing on the side of the highway, these two are clearly getting heated as the Florida trooper tries to explain something to him. The suspect quickly tries to pull away belligerent, but the officer is ready to apprehend him. Instead of going along with it, the suspect punches the trooper. The two go down quickly, off camera, and engage in a few moments of intense physical altercation. It seems to have pulled the attention from both sides of the divided highway as people begin to stop their cars to aid the situation, though it's unclear what it might have looked like on the road. Eventually, a trucker helps pin the suspect down as the officer handcuffs him. Two people come from the opposite side to make sure everything's okay, and eventually the situation is handled. For a few moments, though, it seemed a little touch and go. Fiery aftermath of 9-car crash. Most people dread the idea of being in even a minor fender bender. It comes with so many issues and stressors that it's better if you never had to deal with it. This dashcam, however, catches the moment as a squad car catches up to a fiery 9-car crash. As the officer drives up, you can see one of the trucks is on fire already. It does switch to the body cam as the trooper manages to go up to help some people out of their vehicles. The dash cam catches when firefighters have to put out the growing flames, and the body cam catches all the people who need to be pulled out of their cars.
You good? Just your head? All right, just sit there.
This is an absolute worst-case scenario for some people, though luckily everyone was okay in this scenario. It's terrifying to imagine if things hadn't gone so smoothly, or if you drove up and weren't expecting carnage on I-75. Hero neighbor stops robbery. Though not technically a dash cam, this clip catches something incredible. It looks like a typical street as a car drives by before the car suddenly stops and 4 men step out, covered from head to toe. They're parked in front of one house, leaving the vehicle and walking into another. Several moments go by as the group of men disappear before you see an SUV pulling into their driveway in the background. Perhaps in the case of the nosy neighbor syndrome, the man from the SUV watches as the first car skids off, having seen half the men get into the white car in front of the house. He quickly blocks the car in place and refuses to let them escape. The men in the car try to turn out of the parking space to no avail, making a several-point turn, only for the SUV to block them in further. The rest of the neighborhood had seemingly gotten involved, suddenly not letting the would-be thief escape without a fight. Inebriated woman on the road. Though this is a fast clip, this looks less like dashcam footage and more out of a horror film. The person is walking down the road and catches a woman walking, clearly inebriated, in the middle of the road. Luckily, it's not a busy road, but the way she hobbles down the street feels uniquely undead, almost like she's a lost extra from a nearby zombie flick. She doesn't come after the driver, and the clip ends suddenly, but hopefully, she got somewhere safe soon. Patrol car drives through fire. If you've ever seen dashcam footage of the inside of a fire, you'll know how terrifying it is. This deputy had to drive directly into the scorching heat as burning debris came toward him, and it looked like he had found a portal to the fiery underworld somewhere on the beaten path. The visibility is terrible, and things don't seem to be getting any better. But these are the real risks they take to make it through these conditions. It's one thing to hear about it, another altogether to drive through it first person.